Chiado is Lisbon's cultural saloon where belle epoque elegance and post-crisis resilience converge in a district that bridges the city's past and present. Belem is Lisbon's gateway to the age of discovery, where maritime ambition meets monumental grandeur. Belem is home to top visitor attractions like Jerónimos Monastery, Belem Tower, and Pastel de Belem. Cais do Sodre is Lisbon's edgy chic waterfront district where maritime grit meets creative reinvention. Pink Street and Time Out Market are the most visited attractions in the district. Bairro Alto is Lisbon's bohemian soul, where 16th century grid planning meets 21st century nightlife and counterculture. In this vlog, I will be visiting Chiado, Belem, Cais do Sodre, and Bairro Alto. Chiado is Lisbon's cultural compass, where Enlightenment, saloons, post-quake resilience, and modern elegance converge in a district that thinks before it speaks. Chiado is Lisbon's literary and artistic nerve center, named after Antonio Ribeiro Chiado, a 16th century satirical poet. The district became a magnet for thinkers, writers, and artists. Fernando Pessoa, Portugal's literary titan, is immortalized in a bronze outside a brasileira, a cafe where he penned many of his heteromes. Chiado was the epicenter of belle epoque. The 1988 fire devastated Chiado, destroying historic buildings and displacing residents. Its rebirth was led by Álvaro Siza Vieira, whose minimalist interventions respected the district's classical bones while introducing modernist clarity. Chiado now stands as a case study in post-crisis urban resilience, echoing Lisbon's broader narrative of reinvention. Rue Garrett is Chiado's spine, lined with bookstores, luxury boutiques, and heritage cafes. Home to Bertrand Bookstore, the world's oldest operating bookstore, and Armazém do Chiado, a mall built into a restored 19th century shell. The district balances high culture and high commerce, a duality that mirrors Lisbon's own evolution. It's a neighborhood that flashes back to the late 19th and early 20th century, when writers such as Fernando Pessoa and Eca de Juarez used to write at the now historic cafes. One of the most photographed buildings is from 1863, and it now faces one of the main squares, Largo Rafael Bordalo Pinheiro. It's covered in tiles illustrating mythological figures representing earth, water, science, agriculture, commerce, and industry, and at the top is the Eye of Providence. Chiado is Lisbon's most elegant neighborhood. It is where everyone meets for coffee, shopping, or before a night out in the neighboring Bairro Alto. Most of the buildings are from the late 1700s, but many were restored or altered in the 1990s after a devastating fire in 1988. Carmel Convent is a Gothic skeleton left open to the sky after the 1755 earthquake. It is Lisbon's most poetic ruin. The National Museum of Contemporary Art and São Roque Church offer contrasting spiritual and aesthetic experiences. The Praça Luís de Camões serves as a civic hinge linking Chiado to Bairro Alto, symbolizing Portugal's literary pride. Largo do Camões Square separates Chiado and Bairro Alto. At the center is a bronze statue of poet Luís de Camões, inaugurated in 1867, surrounded by 8 smaller statues representing other personalities from Portuguese literature. Images of mermaids and ships created in cobblestone around the pedestal evoke Camões' epic poem, The Lusíads. Behind the statue is a kiosk serving refreshments from morning to night, one of the city's favorite meeting points, especially at night, and it's also one of the main stops of Tram 28 and the terminal of Tram 24. Chiado's elevation and vistas make it a natural overlook both physically and culturally on Lisbon's layered identity. Belem emerged as Portugal's maritime gateway, strategically located on the Tagus River. In 1497, Vasco da Gama departed from Belem to discover the sea route to India, a voyage that reshaped global trade and geopolitics. The immense wealth from these expeditions funded the construction of Jerónimos Monastery. The Belem Tower was completed in 1519 and served as a ceremonial gateway and defensive bastion. In 1960, the monument to the discoveries was inaugurated to commemorate the 500th anniversary of Henry the Navigator's passing. The monument, shaped like a stylized ship, features 33 figures from Portugal's golden age of exploration, reinforcing Belem's role in national mythmaking. Belem became a favorite retreat for Portuguese royalty, with the Belem Palace eventually becoming the official residence of the President of Portugal. The district retained its maritime identity. But also evolved into a civic and cultural node with gardens, promenades, and public institutions. Belem has become a museum district, home to the Museum of Art, Architecture and Technology, the National Couch Museum, and the Maritime Museum. Its riverside promenade and open vistas contrast with Lisbon's inner maze, offering a reflective space where history meets contemporary design. Belem's monuments are not just tourist attractions, they're architectural embodiments of Portugal's imperial legacy, resilience, and cultural pride. The sensational architecture of the Belem Tower and Jerónimos Monastery, both World Heritage Sites, is the result of the spice trade, the opening of the trade with Japan, and the colonization of Brazil and parts of Africa and Asia. These monuments are adorned and embellished with motifs of exotic lands elaborately carved in stone, as are the heroes of the age on the Colossal Discoveries Monument. This is also Lisbon's museum district, with the one-of-a-kind couch museum, the MAC and CCB showcasing a world-class collection of international, modern, and contemporary art, and the iconic MAAT. One of the top attractions is a pastry shop. You'll see people line up outside of a shop known as Pastel de Belem to savor the famous custard tarts that originated here in 1837 using a recipe that remains secret. Tourists and locals have a few in the tiled interior, while others buy a dozen to enjoy at the park across the street. A row of pretty 16th century houses with outdoor cafes and restaurants facing the park shows the neighborhood looked like in the days of the explorers, and nearby is a curious 22 feet high Thai pavilion. Belem's layout contrasts with Lisbon's inner maze, wide boulevards and open vistas reflect its outward-looking ethos. If you plan to visit Lisbon, purchase the Lisboa card. This card includes free admission to the Belem Tower, the Jeronimos Monastery, Santa Justa Lift, and much more, plus loads of discounts. The Lisboa card also offers free transport, including the world-famous 28 tram. Join a captivating walking tour of Lisbon's Belem district to explore its rich history and iconic landmarks, from the stunning Jerónimos Monastery to the majestic Belem Tower. Savor the famous Pastel de Belem custard tarts, discover the monument to the discoveries, celebrating Portugal's explorers, and enjoy the scenic beauty of Empire Square Garden and the Belem Lighthouse. Use my link to join this half-day private walking tour using Klook. Jerónimos Monastery is Portugal's architectural tribute to the Age of Discovery, built to honor Vasco da Gama's voyage and symbolize imperial ambition. Commissioned by King Manuel I in 1501, the monastery commemorated Vasco da Gama's successful voyage to India. Funded largely by a tax on spices from Asia, it became a spiritual and symbolic anchor for Portugal's global expansion. It was built on the site of a former hermitage where da Gama and his crew prayed before departure. Designed by Diogo de Biotco, the monastery is a pinnacle of Manueline architecture, a Portuguese Gothic style infused with maritime motifs, ropes, anchors, corals, and armillary. Constructed from Leos limestone, its intricate carvings reflect both religious devotion and imperial pride. The Church of Santa Maria features ribbed vaults and ornate cloisters, blending verticality with oceanic symbolism. The Jerónimos Monastery houses the tombs of Vasco. The Jerónimos Monastery houses the tombs of Vasco da Gama, Luis de Comos, and Alexandre Herculano, among others. These burials transform the monastery into a national pantheon, linking exploration, literature, and civic identity. Designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983 alongside the Belem Tower, the Jerónimos Monastery stands as the most iconic symbol of Portugal's power during the Age of Discovery, drawing millions of visitors annually. Lisbon's greatest monument should not be missed by anyone visiting the city. It's a monastery from the Age of Discovery with a magnificent church and cloisters unlike any other in the world. It's a masterpiece of Manueline architecture with sculpted details inspired by the lands and cultures encountered by the Portuguese navigators. The tomb of the most famous one, Vasco da Gama, is found inside the church. Pastel de Belem is Portugal's most iconic pastry shop. The custard tarts are born from monastic ingenuity and preserved through a secret 19th century recipe. In the wake of the 1820 Liberal Revolution, Portugal shut down its monastery in 1834, including Jeronimos Monastery in Belém. Seeking survival, a former monk began selling pastries based on a cloister-kept recipe using leftover egg yolk. These pastries in Pastel de Belem were first sold in 1837 next to a sugar refinery and quickly gained fame among visitors drawn to Belem's monuments. Only a handful of pastry chefs sworn to secrecy know the original recipe, passed down orally and locked in a vault. While many bakeries sell pastel de nata, only the Belem shop can use the name Pastel de Belem, a mark of authenticity and tradition. The pastries are deeply tied to Lisbon's identity, served warm with cinnamon and powdered sugar. The shop itself is a culinary pilgrimage site, often with long queues and a buzzing cafe culture that blends locals and tourists. Their enduring appeal reflects Portugal's ability to preserve tradition while embracing modernity, a bounce-back arc from monastic closure to global fame. The pastry's monastic origin and artisanal secrecy parallel a team that thrives on internal culture and ritual, resisting commodification. The monument to the discoveries is Lisbon's sculpted salute to Portugal's age of discovery, part propaganda, part pilgrimage, and entirely monumental. Originally conceived in 1940 for the Portuguese World Exhibition, the first version of the Monument to the Discoveries was a temporary structure made of plaster and wood. The current monument was rebuilt in 1960 in concrete and rose-tinted Leiria stone to commemorate the 500th anniversary of Prince Henry the Navigator's passing. It stands in Belem, the symbolic launchpad of Portugal's maritime expansion, facing the Tigris River like a ship ready to sail. Designed by architect Cautinelli Telmo and sculptor Leopoldo de Almeida, the monument is shaped like the prow of a caravel, Portugal's iconic exploration vessel. At the front stands Prince Henry the Navigator holding a model of a carrack. Behind him are 32 figures of Portugal's golden age, explorers Vasco da Gama, Magellan, monarchs King Manuel I, cartographers, missionaries, and poets like Luis de Camões. The ensemble surges forward, frozen in stone, symbolizing national unity and forward momentum. The monument includes a viewing platform offering panoramic views of Belem and the Tigris River. Inside is the Centro Cultural das Descobertas, a museum and exhibition space opened in 1985. The compass rose and world map in front of the monument, gifted by South Africa, charts Portuguese exploration routes across the globe. Belem Tower is Lisbon's riverside sentinel, built in the 16th century to defend the city and celebrate Portugal's maritime might. It's a fusion of Gothic, Moorish, and Manueline styles and a lasting emblem of the age of discovery. Constructed between 1514 and 1519 under King Manuel I, the Belem Tower was designed by Francisco de Arroyo. The Belem Tower was designed by Francisco de Arroyo as part of a defensive system to protect Lisbon's harbor. Originally built on a small island on the Tigris River, it served as both a military bastion and a ceremonial gateway for explorers departing to Africa, Asia, and the Americas. The tower commemorates Vasco da Gama's expedition to India, reinforcing Portugal's role in global navigation. It was later renamed the Tower of St. Vincent, honoring Lisbon's patron saint. Built from Leo's limestone, the tower showcases Manueline architecture, a Portuguese Gothic style rich in maritime motifs, ropes, knots, armillary, spheres, and crosses. It also features Moorish elements like arched windows and decorative turrets, reflecting Portugal's layered cultural influences. Declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983 alongside the Jerónimos Monastery. Today, it's one of Lisbon's most visited monuments, symbolizing Portugal's imperial past and architectural grandeur. Lisbon's most iconic monument may look like a fairy tale castle rising from the river, but it was actually a fortress meant to protect the entrance to the city. Its extraordinary stonework and historical significance have made it a World Heritage Site and a landmark no tourist can miss. LX Factory is Lisbon's industrial phoenix, reborn from a 19th century textile complex into a pulsating hub of creativity, innovation, and urban reinvention. Founded in 1846, it was one of Lisbon's most important textile factories and was the backbone of Alcantara. Over time, the 23,000 square meter site housed other industrial giants, including Companhia Industrial de Portugal e Colonias and major printing presses like Anorio de Portugal. For decades, it was a closed-off industrial enclave hidden from public eye and slowly falling into disuse. Almost overnight in 2008, the factory complex, which dated back to 1846, became one of Lisbon's hottest addresses. The industrial spaces were turned into offices and soon became cafes, restaurants, and shops. It also put the neighborhood of Alcantara on the tourist map, and it's now a trendy destination for locals and tourists who get together on the terraces. In 2009, the site was reimagined as Alex Factory. The transformation preserved the industrial architecture, exposed brick, iron beams, and factory bones, while injecting it with art, design, and innovation. It now hosts startups, studios, galleries, bookstores, co-working space, and rooftop bars, becoming a magnet for Lisbon's creative class. Street art covers nearly every surface, with murals, installations, and ephemeral graffiti, which turns the complex into a living canvas. Le Devagar, a cavernous bookstore in a former printing press, is a pilgrimage site for bibliographies and design lovers alike. Event spans fashion, architecture, music, and multimedia, making it a cross-disciplinary incubator. It's a major weekend brunch spot and the site of a popular market on Sundays, selling everything from crafts to fashion and accessories, both new and secondhand, as well as fruit and vegetables from various producers of Lisbon region. None of the buildings have been renovated, keeping their dilapidated exteriors and the industrial architecture, while some cleverly incorporate contemporary design. All around are examples of street art, some by Lisbon and Portugal's prominent street artists. Travel back to the Discovery Age in under 4 hours. Visit the Jerónimos Monastery, the tomb of Vasco da Gama. Savor a pastel de Belem and admire the monument to the discoveries. Included is a ticket and guided visit to the monastery of Jerónimos, a tasting of the famous original pastel de Belem, as well as a visit to the monument to the discoveries. Use my link to join this walking tour in Belém. Take a guided tour of Belém in Lisbon with skip the line entry to Jerónimos Monastery. Discover the coach museum, take a cab ride to go around Belém Tower and enjoy the best views of the Tagus River. Indulge yourself at Pastel de Belém. Use my link to join this walking tour in Belém through GetYourGuide. Cais de Sodre is Lisbon's edgy, chic waterfront district where maritime grit meets creative reinvention. Named after the Sodre family, 15th century merchants tied to the maritime trade. It was once a gritty dockland zone, infamous for sailors, brothels, and bars. Its transformation mirrors Lisbon's own arc of post-crisis renovation, turning decay into vibrancy. Pink Street was once notorious for its brothels. It's now a neon-lit nightlife hub, pulsing with bars and clubs. Time Out Market, better known as Mercado da Ribeira, is a creative food hall blending Lisbon's culinary heritage with global flavors. Ribeira das Nas Promenade is a reclaimed riverside stretch ideal for sunset walks, bike rides, and pop-up events. By day, it's a design for designers, freelancers, and urban storytellers, drawn to its relaxed vibe and layered textures. Galleries, co-working spaces, and indie shops reflect Lisbon's post-2008 creative boom. The district's labyrinthine layout contrasts with Belem's open vistas, tight alleys, sudden squares, and unexpected art installations. Praça Duque da Terceira and Praça Dom Luís anchor the area with civic symbolism and gathering spaces. Cais de Sodre station is the key interchange in Lisbon. Its role as a connective tissue makes it a perfect launchpad for exploring Lisbon's layered districts. Time Out Market in Lisbon is a curated culinary and cultural hub housed in the historic Mercado da Ribeira, where Lisbon's best chefs, artisans, and creatives converge under one roof. The Mercado da Ribeira opened in 1892 as Lisbon's central market, known for its iron dome and Oriental-inspired architecture. In 2014, Time Out Lisboa magazine transformed half the space into the world's first editorially curated food hall, selecting vendors based on their best of the city reviews. The other half still functions as a traditional market, selling fresh produce, fish, and flowers each morning. It features 36 plus restaurants and kiosks, including stalls by top Portuguese chefs. It offers a range of regional specialties such as azeitão cheese, alentejo ham, grilled seafood, and pastel de nata. Communal tables foster a democratic, festival-like atmosphere blending locals and tourists. It remains Lisbon's main food market, selling freshly caught fish, fruit and vegetables in the iron interiors under large Oriental-style dome every morning from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. The food hall opens at 10 a.m. and serves meals until late from stalls provided from some of the city's top chefs. They surround canteen-style communal tables which fill up quickly with locals and tourists throughout the day. It's possible to savor different types of cuisines, desserts, and drinks, and even buy some of the best products made in Portugal. In total, there are 28 food stalls, 8 drink counters, and nearly a dozen stalls selling different types of products. Pink Street is Lisbon's most iconic nightlife strip, transformed from red light grit to neon lit glam in a bold act of urban renovation. Located in Cais de Sodre, Pink Street was once the heart of Lisbon's red light district, frequented by sailors, gamblers, and in the early 20th century, it was a gritty zone of brothels, dive bars, and late-night mischief, Lisbon's underbelly in full view. In 2013, a city-led urban renewal project painted the pavement pink bright, signaling a dramatic shift in identity. The street was rebranded as a creative and nightlife hub, with bars, clubs, and cafes replacing brothels and betting dens. Today is a pedestrian-only zone and often doubles as an open-air art gallery, hosting installations and performances. Pink Street is one of Lisbon's most photographed and visited nightlife destinations, drawing locals and tourists alike. Venues like Pensão Almar, a former brothel turned bar, bookstore, cabaret, preserved the district's layered past while embracing its new identity. The street pulses with music, color, and crowds until dawn, though not without tension. Locals often raise concern about the noise and over-tourism. Founded in 1513, Bairro Alto was Lisbon's first planned expansion beyond the medieval walls. Originally a district for merchants and aristocrats, it later became a hub for journalism and print culture. Its orthogonal street grids reflect Renaissance urban ideals, contrasting with Alfama's organic maze. By the late 1800s, bars emerged to serve journalists working late, soon followed by brothels and bohemian enclaves. In the 1980s, Bairro Alto became Lisbon's after-dark epicenter with street parties every weekend and a dense concentration of bars, fado houses, and alternative venues. Today, it's a magnet for youth culture, indie music, and LGBTQ+ nightlife, with a raw energy that spills into the cobbled lanes after sunset. Fado houses like O Bahia and Tasca do Chico preserve Lisbon's melancholic musical tradition. Street art galleries and tiled facades offer a visual counterpoint to the district's sonic identity. Miradoro de São Pedro del Alcantara provides sweeping views over downtown Lisbon, a perfect metaphor for Bairro Alto's elevated perspectives. By day, it's quiet, sun-drenched, and introspective. Shuttered palacios and sleepy cafes hint at its faded grandeur. By night, it transforms into a dense social matrix where every alley becomes a stage for music, laughter, and mischief. Green Street is Lisbon's leafy lane of quiet charm, an urban oasis tucked into Santos and Santa Catarina, where plants, cafes, and local shops create a slow living vibe. Unlike Pink Street or Blue Street, Green Street isn't named for its pavement color. It's called Rua Verde because of its abundant greenery. Located on Rua da Silva, it was originally a residential alley known for its cozy buildings and quiet ambiance. Over time, residents and shopkeepers began decorating the streets with potted plants, hanging vines, and floral arrangements, turning it into a verdant corridor. The street now hosts specialty boutiques, ethnic restaurants, and cafes offering everything from tapas to international fusion. Highlights include Roots Restaurant and Tapas Bars, a local favorite, and a street library where passerby can borrow or donate books. It's a hidden gem often missed by tourists, focused on nearby hotspots in Bairro Alto and Cais de Sodre. Green Street is ideal for quiet drinks and relaxed strolls and spontaneous discovery. Its low doorways, old buildings, and plant-lined facades evoke a sense of intimacy and community. The vibe is more ethnic and eclectic than polished. Think of it as Lisbon's answer to a neighborhood that resists overcreation. Discover Lisbon on a private walking tour exploring Bairro Alto and Chiado districts, stopping at Miradouro de São Pedro de Alcântara. Visit Aguaja de São Ro de Santa Justa Lift and stop at Largo do Cormo. And Convento do Cormo. Use my link to join this private walking tour in Bairro Alto and Chiado. Learn about the history of Portugal by visiting Bairro Alto in Lisbon. During this walking tour, explore the mix of traditional and modern culture in Bairro Alto, winding streets, and visit various shops, restaurants, bars, and cafes, each with its unique character. Use my link to join this walking tour in Bairro Alto using Tiqets. Chiado is Lisbon's cultural soul, refined yet vibrant district where history, art, and elegance converge. It's the perfect place to experience the city's literary legacy, shop in style, and soak in panoramic views, all within a walkable atmospheric setting. Belem is Lisbon's gateway to the age of discovery, a riverside district packed with monumental architecture, maritime history, and iconic pastry. It's a must-visit for anyone seeking Portugal's golden past with a single walkable neighborhood. Cais de Sodre is Lisbon's edgy, chic waterfront district, once gritty, now magnetic, with a blend of nightlife, creative energy, and riverside charm. It's where the city's maritime past meets its trend-setting present. Bairro Alto is Lisbon's bohemian heartbeat, where cobbled alleys echo with fado by night and pulse with nightlife after dark. It's a neighborhood of contrast, sleepy and sun-drenched in the morning, electric and alive by night. In my next vlog, I'll be taking a day trip to Almada.